So, good morning. Another day on the Camino, another small vlog. And the news today is that I'm approaching the halfway point on the Camino. Hey, little cat. Oh, scared. Anyways, I'm approaching the halfway point on the Camino. I'm around 7 kilometers from this point. It's in Sahagún, a very famous town. And I'm sure I will show you a little bit of that town as well. But at the moment, I want to show you the little Hobbit houses here, which are the bodegas, wine cellars from Moratinos. I will show you a little bit. It says, no, the Hobbits don't live here. These little caves are bodegas, used in the past for food storage and wine making. Part of a wine culture that dates back 2,000 years to the Romans. No one can say how old these bodegas are, but the stories told about them and equipment still stored inside say some might still be over 500 years old. Legend says that they were dug in winter time, a pastime for children who could keep warm and occupied. So nowadays it's a little bit of everything. There's some restaurants, there's still wine cellars, and they're pretty unique. If you look at them, they really look like tiny Hobbit houses, and I think that's what makes them so cozy and so special. But being halfway on the Camino also means that I'm halfway or even more on these mesetas. As you can see, these mesetas, it's a vast plain. It used to be forest, maybe 1,000 years ago, vines, and now it's like mainly cereals, and it's long and long. Yesterday I had 17 kilometers of nothing, there were just fields, and clouds, because it's like a cold winter day, and it plays with your mind because you're just walking and walking and walking, and this thing never ends, and you lose perception of time. And then at a certain point, maybe 3/4 of the way, there's a little farm, and you just think, maybe there's going to be somewhere, some place to sit. Maybe there's going to be some place, like some food or something. And you see this farm, and it's approaching, but it never comes. And it's approaching, but it never comes. And then there's nothing, literally no human being, in the farm. It's just a place to store stuff. And the kilometers go on and go on. You start with these 17 kilometers. I can only imagine how it is to be doing this in the summer. My first Camino was 12 years ago, and I was young, and I did it actually in the end of August, and I think it must have been hard. I don't remember a lot, to be honest, but nowadays I wouldn't do this in the summer. I think now it's a perfect day. Actually, today we have, at the moment, I think between 5 and 7 degrees. The max is going to be 11, and it's a sunny day with a few clouds here and there, and it's just perfect for Camino. So also that's a good thing, to always keep in mind when you're doing Camino what seasons of the year you prefer, because depending on that, everything will change. For instance, for me, my schedule, now that we are in winter, it's a pretty easygoing one, because I don't really have to wake up that early. Today I woke up around 7:45. I took all my time to have breakfast. I'm gonna walk, I think, a short day until Sahagún, which is halfway on the Camino, and visit this city, this town, let's say. And that's the point, just take it easy, discover the small things around the Camino, visit these little caves, and enjoy the way. Good afternoon, 12:45. I'm officially changing province, entering the provincia of León. León, third province of Castilla and León. There we cross. We went through Burgos, Palencia, which ends here, and León, we start right there. And it's a province that is going to see a lot of changes on the Camino. We are going to walk to León, and as we cross and leave León, we're going to leave behind also these mesetas, and we're going to see the Páramo Leonés. We're going to see a change of scenery. We're going to see the mountains approaching, and a slow climb will begin, becoming more evident after Astorga, the climb that will lead us to Rabanal del Camino and to the Puerto, or the port, or Fonsebadón, a magical way to cross the mountains that will eventually lead us into Galicia, but first will take us to the Bierzo region. A magical way that has been crossed by pilgrims for many years, and even before by the Romans, and will bring us to the Cruz de Ferro, or the Iron Cross, the highest point on the Camino, over 1,400 meters, and a point with a lot of meaning. But no more spoilers, because all of that you will see at the right time. For now, I'm just enjoying my Camino. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to crossing yet another border and to begin my adventure in the Provincia de León. So buen camino, and see you there in Sahagún. So, just arriving now in Sahagún, finally. End of a wonderful day. Check out these beautiful illustrations here that remind us of the love and friendship of the Camino, and also remind us of the movie The Way, which, if you have done Camino, you might have even seen, which is a very famous movie with Martin Sheen that talks about the Camino. And with this background, I'm heading into my halfway point of the Camino, because yeah, this is it. This is it today. Later we will get a credential that can tell us that we are halfway on the Camino, and I will show that piece of paper to you. Reflections on halfway of the Camino? Well, I have plenty, but the most important one is that something I told today a pilgrim who was not feeling well, because sometimes on the Camino you might get some pain in your legs, in your tendons, but you might also get some pain in your heart, and that is because the Camino might lead to uncomfortable truths about yourself, uncomfortable feelings, and you gotta be able to accept this and just push forward. You can walk, you can face them and write them down, talk to these feelings, but you must not stop. That's the reason, that's the trick. Okay, so yeah, you might cry, you might experience sudden bursts of happiness, you might have all sort of feelings on the Camino. That's okay. That's okay, that's part of the magic. Remember that the Camino is just a shell, literally. A shell which externally portrays the walk, you know? The shell of the Camino is the walk, is the act of walking, but inside this shell, there's something more precious, which is the journey that one does within oneself. And that's the most important part, and the one that you should never miss. Otherwise, you're going to waste your Camino. Here we are, finally, end of another extremely long day on the Camino. You can see behind me the entrance to the old monastery of San Benito, which is one of the many monasteries that populated the town of Sahagún. And as we walk through this old door, we enter into the historical center of a town where two important things are to be remembered for you as a caminante or as a pilgrim. The first one, you are halfway on the center of the Camino. That is in the Virgen Peregrina church that we saw before. And the second thing is that a lot of buildings here were built with bricks instead of like pure stone. And bricks with geometrical patterns like we see in the church of Santo Tirso. And these geometrical patterns remind us a little bit of Arabic influence, and that is because this is one of the centers of this Mudéjar style, a specific architectural style that developed in this part of Spain at the border between the Catholic kingdoms and the Arab kingdoms, you know. And we also saw the other day randomly on the Camino on the way from Ista. But I think what most of the pilgrims will have to do is go to the Virgen Peregrina church and get that special certificate that reminds them on a piece of paper, in this case, that they have accomplished something truly unique. They walked half of the Camino. Walking half of the Camino over 400 kilometers to get here, it's quite a challenge. And I think it's a good thing to remember that you made it while you walk here and you see, you know, this geometrical pattern, these bricks made churches that are pretty unique. And it's also a reminder though that there's still a lot to go. So I'm excited because I've been on the road for a long time, and I can only imagine what else is going to happen in the next days. So stay tuned, follow me for more Camino adventures.